Let's get to it today for day 120 of the Daily Bread Bible Study, Wednesday, April 29th, 2020, focusing on 1 Chronicles 5 through 6. We have more names in the lineage and an explanation of Reuben's birthright being split between Joseph's children, Manasseh and Ephraim. Now, if we can remember all the way back to day 10, we're in Genesis 35:22, we discussed that Reuben sleeps with Bilhah there. And because of that, Jacob does not give inheritance to Reuben of the firstborn blessing. Instead, he splits that with Joseph, and Joseph receives a double portion of the blessing. This double portion then is given to the 12 split between Joseph's children, Manasseh and Ephraim, and thus Manasseh and Ephraim get each an equal share in the 12 ancestral tribes of Judah. Just a reminder that there was no Levi tribe or Joseph tribe getting its own inheritance, so that way they separated out to keep that number 12, Manasseh and Ephraim taking their places. The Levites got the offerings of the Lord and also some land allocated to them from each of the tribes. In 1 Chronicles 5:1, it said, "The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel," and reminds that he was the firstborn, but because he defiled his father's bed with his birthright, it was given to the sons of Joseph, son of Israel, so that he might not enroll in the genealogy according to the birthright. Though Judah became prominent among his brothers and a ruler came from him, yet the birthright belonged to Joseph. So everything is getting clarified there through this chronicle. The Reubenites, has a descendant named Baal and his son in 1 Chronicles 5:5. Now the name Baal is often associated with idolatry, but as we will see, there are plenty of descendants named Baal associated also with King Saul. So there may be something going on there trying to slander King Saul, or maybe it's just a common name that was used. Who knows? A brief description of the tribes east of the Jordan are given, and saying that in 1 Chronicles 5:25, "But they transgressed against the God of their ancestors and prostituted themselves to the gods of the peoples of the land, whom God had destroyed before them. So the God of Israel stirred up the spirit of King Pual of Assyria and the spirit of King Tiglath-Pileser of Assyria, and he carried them away, namely the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and brought them to Halal, Habor, and Hara, and the river Gozan to this day." So this is written during a time of exile here. In 1 Chronicles 6, the descendants of Levi are known as the worship leaders, and they're all documented here. The sons of Levi, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari, they are mentioned not only in verse 1, but also in verse 16. Thus, those are important figures, and remember that we talked about previously how those were divided up, the responsibilities there, as the tent of meeting was traveling all across the wilderness there as they were wandering in the wilderness 40 years. They're the Israelites. There is a brief aside given for those who served under King David, which is describing how the Levites became associated with worship in the temple of the Lord. Seems to be just simple instructions. In 1 Chronicles 6:31 and 32, it says, "They ministered with song before the tabernacle of the tent of meeting until Solomon had built the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. And they performed their service in due order." The last part also explains how the Levites came into possession of the cities of refuge. Again, remember in day 51, as we discussed on Numbers 35, and we also discussed it in Joshua 21, those 48 cities of the Levites, which remember the 12 tribes, multiply it by 4, and you get 48, a nice number. in the 12-tribe scheme. We see that there were towns and pastures surrounding towns, and there was a 1,000 cubit radius around the towns, and also those cities of refuge. Whereas it says in Numbers 35, a slayer who kills a person without intent may flee there, and they shall be a refuge from the avenger of blood, so that the slayer may not die until there is a trial before the congregation. So those were the purposes of that. And that brings us to the end of chapter 6. That's all I have for you today. We will pick up some more names next time, and then after that we will get back into some narrative around King Saul. But more to come on the names.